Ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally come. Hockey season is here, and I couldn't be more excited about making today's video, where I'm going to go through and break down some of my favorite Nhl Dfs plays for the regular season opener. Now, if you're a returning Nhl viewer, you guys know how these videos work, but if you're new to the channel here, what I do is break down a couple of my favorite line stacks. I then dive into some of my favorite individual plays, and then we'll wrap it up there with 3 low-priced options or sub 4K forward plays. With that being said, let's dive right into this. Now for starters, we have just 3 games here on the main slate for the regular season opener. We got the Nashville Predators heading in to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. We got the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Seattle Kraken playing the defending Stanley Cup champions and the Vegas Golden Knights. And you can see all 3 games here have an over-under of 6.5 goals. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for this 3-game slate. Now, just so everyone's aware, I am recording this here on Monday, October 9th. Obviously, the regular season starts on Tuesday, October 10th. Like I always do, I'm going to want to check the morning skates tomorrow as well, just to make sure these lines haven't changed. But one line I don't think we will see change prior to puck drop tomorrow is going to be that second line for the Pittsburgh Penguins. We got Evgeny Malkin centering Rickard Rakell and Riley Smith, and it's a pretty affordable line stack here considering the upside they have in this matchup at home against the Chicago Blackhawks. I really like the correlation we get with Malkin and Rakell playing on that number 1 power play. Smith plays on that number 2 power play himself, and albeit a small sample size, I like the chemistry I saw from these 3 during the preseason, and Rickard Rakell himself seems to be playing with a lot of confidence. Overall, this is just a really good matchup at home for Pittsburgh to start off their season. All 3 of these guys should play 16, 17 plus minutes, and again get time on the power play, so I really like the correlation there. And then a cheaper line stack that I like here for this slate is that second line for the Vegas Golden Knights. We got Chandler Stevenson centering Mark Stone and Brent Howden. Definitely some familiarity here with these 3. Played together during the Stanley Cup playoffs last year. Eventually went on to win the Stanley Cup. So you can bet they're eager to get things going here. They're going to see the banner raised on Tuesday night. Going to be a lot of energy and emotion. And like I said, overall, just a very affordable line stack here. Now you're going to see Stevenson and Stone play up on the number 1 power play. So I really like the correlation between them. And being that Brent Howden is so affordable here, it makes it easy to stack it up with those 2 guys. Now folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would truly appreciate that. We're trying to get Sly Dog Sports here to 4,000 subs, and every like, comment, and subscription truly helps us out. I'm going to have football and hockey content coming out for you guys all year long. Plus, we brought a brand new entertainment segment to the channel just this past summer called Mulligan Masters. Make sure you go check that out as well. With that being said, let's dive into these individual plays. And we're going to kick off the individual plays here at the forward position. First guy that I got is Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning, sitting at $7,900 on Draftkings at home against the Nashville Predators. Point is coming off a career year in both goals and points, plotted 51 goals and 95 points during the regular season, and he was very good at home, a very well-rounded player overall. He has more good nights than bad, but played particularly well at home last year, where he put up 60 points in 44 games. That does include the playoffs, well over a point per game to say the least. This is a guy who plays up on the first line in number 1 power play and just plays big minutes overall. Now, speaking of guys who are coming off of a career year, look no further than Jared McCann of the Seattle Kraken, sitting at $5,900 on DraftKings. Definitely a tough matchup going on the road to start the season against the defending Stanley Cup champions, but this is a guy who's coming off of a 40-goal season, 70 points during the regular season, and he led his entire team in shots. That's primarily what he does best, shoot the puck, and he's a natural goal scorer as well. Plays up on the first line, plays up on the number 1 power play, and they're going to look for him to shoot on that power play as well. The next guy I got here then is Taylor Hall of the Chicago Blackhawks, and while he's not coming off of a career year himself, he is playing with a new team, and I like this price tag at $4,900, playing on the road against the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's going to play up on that first line and number 1 power play, and his line mate in Connor Bedard is priced at $7,500 on DraftKings, so again, I'm kind of looking at Taylor Hall here as a nice value play. Another guy that I really like here in the 4K range is going to be Tommy Novak of the Nashville Predators, someone who kind of caught us by surprise last year. He was called up from the AHL and then ended up putting up 17 goals, 26 assists, 43 points in 51 games. Usually when you call someone up from the AHL, they're not almost a point per game player, but that's exactly what Tommy Novak did. Now, you're probably going to see him play on the third line tomorrow, but I really don't worry about that because he'll be up on that number 1 power play too and should log around 17 minutes. And then someone I think we can target and stack up with Tommy Novak is Luke Evangelista of the Nashville Predators. He's at $4,800, a really nice price tag there, and he was also called up from the AHL last year, and while he didn't quite put up the numbers that Novak did, he still had 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points, and 24 regular season games. Honestly, the only downside I see stacking him up with Novak is that Evangelista plays on the number 2 power play, not the number 1 power play. All things considered, not too worried about that. This is still a guy who's going to log solid minutes and get time on the special teams. And we have to look at the goalie situation here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I kind of like Nashville in general considering that. Andrei Vasilevskiy is expected to miss at least the first couple of months of the season due to the surgery that he just had. Now, I got word here this morning that the Carolina Hurricanes might be borrowing Peter Kochetkov over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's a really weird situation, but overall, it's not going to be Vasi starting for the Lightning, so I kind of like targeting Nashville here. And before we dive into the defensemen here, everyone, just want to remind you all that I do have that free Discord channel as well that you can join. To do so, there's a link in the description below. We got a great group of people in there talking football, hockey, and PrizePicks, and I try to give as many updates in there as well when I can. Now, diving into the defensemen here, one guy I would be willing to spend up for is Erik Karlsson of the Pittsburgh Penguins, sitting at $7,100 on DraftKings, and we can stack him up with the Penguins' number 1 power play. That's definitely on my radar, but I also just like stacking him up with that second line that I highlighted earlier with Malkin, Smith, and Raquel, because during the preseason, we saw Karlsson play with Malkin's line 5-on-5 pretty frequently, and then Letang played with Crosby's line 5-on-5. Sure, that could change shift to shift, but I think that's what Pittsburgh wants to do for the most part. Overall, this is one of the best offensive defensemen in the NHL, and someone who should log 22 plus minutes in this game. The next guy I got there then is Mikhail Sergachev of the Tampa Bay Lightning, sitting at $5,500 on DraftKings. This guy's coming off of a career year himself where he had 10 goals, 54 assists, and 64 points. A guy who generally plays big minutes. I suspect 22 plus, but could be closer to 24 plus. Plays on the penalty kill and will play for sure on the number 2 power play. That's where we saw him this morning when I was looking at the Tampa Bay practice, but he also bounced back and forth between the number 1 power play as well during the preseason and pretty much played there towards the end of last year. So we could go with Victor Hedman here too, but at $5,500, I do like this price for Sergachev. Now, let's get into some value defensemen here, and the first one that I got is Marcus Pettersson of the Pittsburgh Penguins, sitting at $3,800 on DraftKings. I notoriously wouldn't do this, but being that it is just a 3-game slate, I actually think that we can stack up Pettersson with his defensive partner and Erik Karlsson. Those guys are going to log big minutes together 5-on-5. He's a guy that's going to play 20 plus minutes himself, gets time on the penalty kill, and someone who can get us 10 plus DraftKings points. For those of you who are used to my NHL videos, you guys know the deal here. If I'm playing anyone in the 2 to 3K range when it comes to Nhl Dfs, 10 plus DraftKings points is perfectly fine with me. And then I got Nicholas Hague there at $2,700, almost the bare minimum price for defensemen, which is $2,500, so some really nice value here. We saw him play on the number 2 power play during the preseason. Not entirely sure if that's going to roll over here to the regular season, but at this price, give or take it, if he just happens to be on the power play, even better. If he doesn't, this is still a guy who's going to play 18 plus minutes, does get time on the penalty kill, and just like Marcus Pettersson, someone who could get us 3 plus block shots, get us that 3-point DraftKings bonus, and potentially get us 10 plus DraftKings points. And then I got a couple of goaltenders here, but being that it is just a 3-game slate, everyone, we only have 6 goaltenders to choose from. Honestly, I'm not really discounting any one of these goaltenders, especially in tournaments, but my favorite 2 were Adin Hill and UC Swaros. If I'm spending up here, Adin Hill looks nice at $8,200. Vegas is a home favorite at -170. Obviously, Vegas here, again, going to be playing with a lot of emotion. Just won the Stanley Cup, and he's just got some really solid defense in front of him. That's part of the reason I like spending up for Adin Hill, but overall, like I said, it's a 3-game slate, 6 goalies to choose from. I think all these guys are truly in play. But with that being said, I'm not going to lie to you either. My favorite overall play, and someone I'll be a little heavier on in general, is going to be UC Saros of the Nashville Predators. I just love this price here at $7,300, even though they're playing on the road against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who can clearly score goals. This is a goalie who can literally steal a game himself, and at this price of $7,300, he's someone who's got 30-plus DraftKings point potential, so especially in tournaments, I'll be heavy on Saros. And as always, everyone, gonna wrap up this video here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. First guy that I got is Andre Burakovsky of the Seattle Kraken. Had a really good season last year prior to getting injured. He should be ready to go here for the regular season, playing on that second line in #1 power play, and a really good price tag here at $3,900. Like I said, overall, this is a tough matchup on the road against the Vegas Golden Knights, but this guy who's going to get a lot of opportunity at a really good price tag. Next guy that I got is Lucas Reichel of the Chicago Blackhawks. I was really hoping we see him play with Connor Bedard to start the season, but it looks like they're going to try and separate the two young guys together. You got Reichel here on the second line, but he will play up on that #1 power play, so you do get a little correlation with Bedard there. You could target that Chicago power play overall, not something I'm overly interested in, but again, considering the price tag here at $3,700, I think Reichel has some nice upside. And then we got Mikey Eyssimont of the Tampa Bay Lightning. We saw him play on that first line a little bit with Kucherov and Point during the preseason, but it looks like he'll start the season on the third line, and he is going to get time on that #2 power play as well. Someone who kind of surprised us at times last year, who loved to shoot the puck and had some hot streaks as well. So at $2,900 here, I know he's someone who can get us 10-plus DraftKings points if he has himself a night. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this NHL opening night. In the meantime, I'm out of here.